This is the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Join me in the sunshine.
It is time for episode 36 of Sunny Side Up. I'm Alan. Brandon and Angel aren't here this week, but we're going to do the show anyway. Brandon's gone, Angel's gone because they got stuff going on, but mostly because I've been ill this week. I don't know what it is. It's either allergies or a small head cold, but enough that with everything going on in the world, we're like, you know what? I'll just do it myself, and by this time next week, we'll either know that I'm well or I'm sicker than I thought. But I don't think I've got anything. Everybody everywhere is talking about the coronavirus. Everybody's scared about the pandemic, and quite frankly, so am I. To an extent, been keeping an upbeat mind about it. I think Brandon and Angel, being the millennial generation, a little bit more worried about it. Maybe because of me and the other upper level of the Gen Xers and baby boomers who are more susceptible to it. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the worry part because you've heard that stuff. But what I want to do in addressing the pandemic of the coronavirus is what we can do for each other. We already know we're supposed to wash our hands. My hands are cleaner now than they've ever been in my life, by the way. Not pick at our face like I tend to do, and have that social distancing of however many feet away from each other. But what I've been seeing, at least in my neighborhood and in communities around me, and I've been seeing it online a little bit, in that we're being told that we've got to stay away from each other. For some weird reason, we're reacting the exact opposite. I'm seeing people actually congregating together in spite of the coronavirus. I know a bunch of crazy kids did on spring break, but not necessarily that. What I'm talking about is younger people reaching out to older people, like really elderly people in the world, and making sure they're okay, asking if they can go get their groceries for them, if they can do shopping so the elderly can stay inside and be safer and not susceptible to disease. So I think that's pretty cool. And if you haven't yet, and you have an elderly person in your life, I encourage you to check on them. We have a couple of ladies in our neighborhood here around the house that we went out this week and checked and just said, look, we know you're okay. We know you're not worried. You've been through a lifetime of things, but we want to make sure that you're okay. So you call me anytime. So if the phone rings, I may have to stop and answer it during the taping of Sunny Side Up, episode 36. But in all of this craziness, how you react, I think, is the key. Are you going to react in fear, or are you going to reach out with boldness and say, okay, I'm going to be smart. I'm not going to be foolish and run around touching things I shouldn't, but there's a difference between, I think, isolating yourself and completely crawling into a bubble and hiding from the world. I think you can still be in isolation if you need to. I know a lot of people are working at home. That's fine. But working at home doesn't mean that you can't still pick up the phone and check on your neighbor or your parents or things like that. So I would just encourage you now more than ever to make sure the people that you love and you care about are okay. Not just the whole how's the weather, but I mean actually have a conversation with them about what they're doing, how they feel, are they scared? And if they're not, ask them why they're not scared. Maybe it'll help you in the long run, but really, truly reach out to the people that you care about. I do got to apologize for my squeaky, gravelly voice. It's been a long day as I record this. This is actually the beginning of spring, and allergens are in the air like crazy, and I think it's just allergies, but I've been battling with it a lot. So bear with me if I squeak. I still want to share some good stuff. There have been people doing some really cool things in the world. This just happened this week. A guy that works at a pizza place did something extraordinary this week. There are two people named Julie and Rich Morgan out there. They used to live in Battle Creek, Michigan 25 years ago. And Rich wanted to surprise Julie on her birthday with a trip back home to Battle Creek, Michigan, where when they were much younger and when things were tougher in their financially for them, he would splurge once a paycheck on payday, and he would go buy Steve's Pizza in Battle Creek, Michigan, and he would order a pizza, take it home, and he and his wife, Rich and Julie, would split the pizza, and that was like their thing for many, many years when they lived in Battle Creek. Well, it's been 25 years since then, And this year, Rich was going to surprise Julie on her birthday with a trip back to Battle Creek, Michigan to Steve's Pizza. Well, Battle Creek, Michigan and Steve's Pizza from where they live now is about 3.5 hours away. It's 225 miles away. To complicate things, Rich came down with some type of cancer. So plans for the birthday party had to be canceled. This is when Julie's father, hang with me, the story gets a little complicated. Julie's father knew about the plight, and he contacted Steve's Pizza in Battle Creek, Michigan. He said, look, can you guys drop an email, send a letter, maybe make a phone call to Rich and Julie? It would mean the world to them. They were planning on coming to eat your pizza. Well, this young man, who is the manager of Steve's Pizza, 18-year-old Dalton Schaefer, Dalton's talking to Julie's dad, and he says, you know what? Not only will we recognize this couple, I'm going to bring them a pizza. What kind do they want? And Julie's father said, look, it's 3.5 hours away. It's a state away from you. We didn't expect this. And the kid goes, I know you didn't expect it. What kind of pizza do they want? I'll bring you 2 of them on the house. So they ordered the pizza. Dalton manages Steve's Pizza, so Dalton had to close Steve's Pizza that night. So after close, after everything's cleaned up and everything's ready for the next day's business, Dalton hops in the delivery van and drives 3.5 hours, 225 miles, and gets to their home at 2:30 in the morning. Gives them the pizza, which I think was probably lukewarm, but the point is he got them the pizza. They loved it, and they were like, dude, you've got to get some sleep. How about you either spend the night here or we'll get you a hotel room? And Dalton said, I can't. I've got to be back at work in the morning. He said, I will pray for you on the way back, but I've got to go. Bless you guys. Enjoy the pizza. And 18-year-old kid and taking on a management position at that age is big enough. But for him to literally lose an entire night's sleep, going to turn right around and work a probably, 15-hour day the next day at the pizza place. Just fantastic. Fantastic story. He talked about praying for Steve and Julie. That's the other thing. If you're a believer, I was going to bring this up at some point. This works right now. If you're a believer, pray for several things. Pray for a cure. Hopefully, by the time this podcast blows up, the cure will ought to be here for the COVID-19 virus worldwide. That would be awesome. There, I touched my nose again. Pray for healing and a cure, but also pray for the world's leaders. And I don't care what country you're from or what nationality you are, or what your political affiliation is, matters not to me. Pray for our leaders, all of them, across the board, from the very top of leadership down to your local community, the mayor in your hometown, things like that. Those leaders, that they'd have the wisdom to make the decisions they've got to make. Can you imagine being the president of the United States or the Queen of England or presidents and kings and emperors of different countries, looking at their entire country, look back at them going, here, what do we do now? And I'm a broadcaster, and I have my listenership, and we've got the viewership and listenership of the podcast with Sunny Side Up. And we do have people asking, what do we do now? What should we do? And a lot of times there's not really a solid answer, and I think that's what's causing the anxiousness. So pray about it. Pray for peace in your heart. Pray for peace in your family, and for healing internationally and nationally. This thing is global. This thing has taken us to a whole new step where, and we talk about the world getting younger, or smaller and smaller. Man, the world is the size of a marble right now if you think about it. So please, please, please do that. And if anything else, you might make yourself feel better in the end, all right? Another good Sunny Side Up story I wanted to share with you, and man, I wish Brandon and Angel were here. I know they'll watch this and they'll laugh at me because I'm doing it on my own, but I wish they were here today because I think they have some fears as well, and it would be nice to just kind of lean on each other. But hopefully you and I are leaning on each other right now. There's a group of hunters in Missouri. This is a really cool thing. It's called Share the Harvest program. It happened last fall into the beginning of the wintertime. But it allows Missouri deer hunters to donate part, if not all, of their catch to charity. and it was a massive success this year. 6,750 whole deer and 350,000 pounds of venison were donated to food programs that went to local food banks around the state. Now, if you're a health food nut, it was lean, grass-fed, additive-free meat. It was tested, ground, packaged, and delivered to the food banks thanks to the volunteers who organized more than 100 participating meat packing facilities. The cost of processing the meat was covered by numerous sponsors, including sportsmen's group like Missouri Chapter National Wild Turkey, government departments like the Missouri Department of Conservation, and charity organizations like the Missouri Food Banks Association. So yet another group of individuals doing what they like to do and literally paying it forward and making a difference. That's something else you can do. I've just got these things hitting my head. I'm just sharing them with you because I know a lot of people are looking for answers. Pay it forward. Find somebody in your neighborhood that needs, maybe need their grass mowed early this spring, or maybe they need the weeds picked up, or maybe the leftover leaves from the wintertime, and they're trying to get the spring thing going in their yard. Just go out there and start picking up leaves or do something in somebody's yard. Now, at some point, somebody's going to run out of the house and go, "What the heck are you doing in my yard?" You can turn to them and go, I'm just trying to make a difference, man. That's all I'm doing. I'm not asking for anything. You're planting seeds, literally and figuratively. A kindergarten teacher in Willis, Texas. We need to get a map. We should get a Sunny Side Up map of all the stories that we've covered. Willis, Texas. A teacher in kindergarten went above and beyond. This is one of my favorite stories. This actually happened in mid-2019. 5-year-old Priscilla Perez's classmates were making fun of her new and really, really, really short haircut, saying that it made her look like a boy. She was so embarrassed about it that she started wearing hats to school. Well, once her teacher figured out what was going on, she decided to do something which I think is fantastic. Over winter break, it was actually last year, over winter break, Grim chopped off all of her waist-length hair. She had beautiful, dark, long hair, just gorgeous, so she could get Priscilla's haircut too. She told her students, "I think I look beautiful. Do you think I look beautiful?" Grim said that she had to show the boys that have long hair, and girls have short hair sometimes. And since then, Priscilla's confidence is shot through the roof. Priscilla told her teacher, "When I get big like you, I'll have friends who will be mean to me, but I'll be nice to them just like you are." Pretty cool stuff. I've got one more Sunny Side Up story. I'm not gonna take the full 25 or 30 minutes. Quite honestly, my throat's not gonna last long enough to do this anyway. But got a couple of uplifting thoughts and a story for you here. I got to take a drink though. Normally the Sunny Side Up cups are props for the video. This time it's really full of water. I'm not Blake Shelton. It's full of water. Okay. 1985, Mickey and Tracy Hepworth were celebrating their recently officiated wedding with family members during a party when a pair of thieves swiped a handbag that had the roll of film from the wedding in it. They took off running. Members of the wedding party took chase but didn't catch the thieves, and the bag disappeared. Well, that was back in 1985. Unbeknownst to them that day, there was a woman named Angie McHale who found the empty handbag. The thieves had taken money out of it but left the film and the handbag behind. And she took it home that same night, had the film developed, but she didn't, at that time there was no social media. In 1985, we had the beginnings of computers barely. So she had the film developed, and she kept the snapshot Polaroids in a box in her closet. And every once in a while, she would pull them out and look at them and wonder who these people are in these pictures. And very recently, this last year, she was moving to a new home, packing up stuff, and she ran into the photos again. She was like, "Oh yeah, there's those photos. Wait a minute. We've got social media." So she put the pictures on Facebook and Instagram, and she said, "Look, I've had these photos since 1985. I don't know who they belong to. I don't know if these two people are still married, but if you know them, please let me know. I would love to get the pictures to them." Well, one friend tells one friend, and another friend tells another friend. It went through 500 different posts across the country before a friend of the Hepworths saw the photos, noticed them, recognized Mick and Tracy, contacted them, and, well, the end of the story ends up with these guys finally getting to see what they looked like when they were first wed in 1985. They reunited with the long-lost photos. Good story, happy ending. Hey, if you want to reach out to us on Sunny Side Up, you know what? If you got a problem you want us to help you with, I don't know what we can do, but maybe we can. We got a lot of connections. Maybe you want to share a good story, contact us. sunnysideuppodcast at storiesandscoopsmedia.com is a long email address. You can click on the YouTube link, the Facebook or Instagram links, and reach us that way. And we'll get back with you. Be sure to listen to our podcasts on every podcast known to mankind. The YouTube videos are fun. This week's a little minimal. I'll give it to you. I barely have a voice left. I'm trying not to cough because I don't want to give you a virus here. I don't think that works that way. But anyway, go out. Have a blessed week. I promise you I'm going to try to get Brandon and Angel back here for next week's show, and we'll do it to you. See you later.